More than 70% of the Earth's surface is covered in water, and the U.S. Navy is tasked with protection and defense of America at sea. And sometimes that means working far below the water's surface. But before a Navy sailor even steps foot on a submarine, there is intense training for every possible scenario underwater.
At the Submarine Learning Facility, Norfolk, naval officers and enlisted personnel train for service in the maritime domain.
Little 229.0.
Submariners, as they're called, go through hands-on training, learning everything from navigation to responding to onboard emergencies to wartime combat.
So when a junior sailor reports to the submarine, they are actually going to be in qualifications to earn the submarine warfare pin. And that qualification process, it's brutal. I mean, it takes about a year for a sailor to finish that, and that is really that sailor proving to the rest of the crew that in the event of an emergency, this guy can save my life. And there's a lot of pride in that. This was actually the very first warfare pin in U.S. military history. So a lot of people, it means a lot to us to earn your dolphins. You can see this thing, this trainer can take some.
Petty Officer Joshua Updegrove has been in the Navy for 8 years. While going to college for accounting, he decided to make a life change and join the Navy.
So I'm an information systems technician on board submarines, where I do all of the network security on board, as well as the external communications, communicating with operational commanders, as well as work with electronic warfare.
While on deployment, the submariners may be underwater for months at a time. With more than 100 crew members on board, they're working in tight quarters, ready for whatever conditions lie ahead.
It depends on the mission set that you are assigned to. So some submarines, they're there for deterrent patrols, which means they roll around with nuclear weapons, and they are strictly there to strike if need be. There's also different types of strike operations where we can launch sea-to-land Tomahawk missiles. We can do Navy SEAL insertion. We can do mine-laying operations. We can do peacetime exercises with other countries, which is very important.
Naval submarines play a key role during peace times as well, conducting surveillance and reconnaissance missions while moving undetected.
Well, it's stealth's your greatest friend. I mean, an aircraft carrier and all these surface ships, it's a projection of power. There's no hiding that big thing. It's there. However, a submarine under the sea, you can't see that thing coming, so you can really see what your adversaries are up to when they don't know anyone's watching.
While naval submarines patrol the seas unseen, one of the most visible symbols of the Navy's power is the aircraft carrier. That's where we're headed next.
Feels good.
So we got our cranial protection, we have our life preservers, and we are getting ready to board the Greyhound and head out to the USS George Washington.
Flying out to sea to the USS George Washington. We'll see what life is like on a ship and take you along for the ride.
And that arrested landing on the flight deck of that ship is something I am not going to forget. But one interesting fact that we learned as we were talking with Petty Officer Updegrove about the submarine. So there's about 120 sailors that might crew a sub like that. But they actually said there are not enough beds for the number of sailors on board. So they actually use a practice called hot racking. And that's when two sailors will share one berth as they're working around the clock and they're shift changing. You know, one might be waking up and going to their shift, and then the next person coming off will actually sleep in that same bed. They'll just change the sheets, and that's because every inch on a sub needs to be utilized to the maximum capacity. Just a little fact for you there.